So today our mission is to really cut through all the noise around Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
There is. And we're going to set aside the huge cosmic villain theories for a minute, because what we're seeing suggests this is going to be something much more personal. An ideological war.
It really looks like the biggest clash in the MCU is basically being brought back to life. The main theory we're digging into is that Doomsday is essentially a new civil war.
Right.
It's all about these fundamental conflicts of morality, only this time, the price of getting it wrong is the entire multiverse.
And the phrase that keeps popping up is different mask, same task. I think that just nails it.
Yeah.
We're talking about the surprise return of Steve Rogers, Captain America, and he's set to face off against Dr. Doom. But here's the real kicker. Doom is rumored to look a lot like Tony Stark.
And that resemblance is the whole emotional hook for this, right? I mean, for months, the one character missing from the cast list was Steve Rogers.
Exactly. He was just gone.
And now, boom, he's all over the first teasers. It confirms that the rivalry that, defined the whole Infinity Saga is coming back, but with just lethal stakes. It's a true grudge match.
Okay, so let's unpack those emotional stakes they're setting up right away.
Yeah.
The early teasers, they aren't just showing Steve is back. They're showing his life is, precious.
They're absolutely maximizing the emotional impact. Cap was the anchor of the Infinity Saga, and his role here is clearly critical. We see him at home. He has the family he always wanted with Peggy.
You even get that quick glimpse of his baby.
Right. And that's not just a cameo. That is establishing his hard-won piece.
And for anyone who's been watching these movies for a while, that domestic bliss, it just screams danger. It feels incredibly ominous.
It's the language of the MCU.
Yeah. You show a hero with a happy family, especially a baby, and historically, that's been the setup for that hero's death.
You can't see that without thinking of Tony Stark's home, his daughter Morgan, right at the start of Endgame. They are 100% drawing that parallel to make us worry.
So if this is Steve's final chapter, the directors, and we have to talk about the Russos, they're going to want a grand, definitive ending.
Oh, absolutely. Something that ties up every loose thread since he went back in time.
Which brings us to that decision. The going back in time moment seems so sweet at the end of Endgame, but now it feels like the one thing that has to be addressed.
It's central. I mean, Doomsday can't happen without dealing with the consequences of that choice. We were left with so many questions.
Like, where did he even go? Which passed? And how did his shield come back fixed?
Right. And the simple answer was always, he lived happily ever after. But if we're now facing a multiversal incursion, a collision of realities, it suggests his choice was anything but simple.
Or consequence-free.
Exactly. And this is where the really big theory comes in. It suggests Steve Rogers never went back to his own past or the main timeline's past.
Yeah, so he didn't just travel in time. He universe hopped to find a clean slate.
Precisely. He chose a completely different, a pristine universe's past to settle down in. And theory goes further. It says he didn't just settle down. He made a huge change.
What kind of change?
He eliminated Hydra completely, rooted them all out.
Wow. So he basically engineered a perfect reality for himself and Peggy? But wouldn't an action that big cause a massive disruption?
It does, and that's the whole twist. Think about it. In that alternate past, SHIELD is founded without corruption. The big evils are gone. So maybe there was less of a need for a big superhero program.
So his quest for personal happiness led him to completely re-architect an entire universe, a universe he then left to come back to ours.
That is the heavy implication. Captain America staying in that alternate past, cleaning it up, that's being set up as the root cause of the multiversal incursion. His choice, which was driven by love, might have broken the balance between universes.
That completely changes the moral calculus. He didn't just retire. His happiness came at the cost of everything.
And we know it's personal. Set photos are already hinting that Dr. Doom visits Captain America's house, his home.
It confirms this crisis isn't just some abstract threat. It's directly tied to Steve's actions, invading his personal space. He's not just saving the multiverse, he's trying to atone for what he did.
Yeah.
And that moral weight, it immediately explains why this feels more like a Civil War 2.0 than just another superhero brawl. It's philosophy versus philosophy.
Just like it always was between him and Tony. And that history is so important, especially when you consider that Doomsday is probably going to pull from the comics leading up to the 2015 Secret Wars.
Okay, so walk us through that comic precedent, because that's where the split between Steve and Tony became absolute.
It's the time runs out storyline. Just before everything collapsed, Steve and Tony were in deep conflict again over how to handle the incursions.
And an incursion is just when two universes are about to collide, right? Destroying both, unless you destroy one of them first.
Exactly. A brutal cosmic trolley problem.
Yeah.
And their philosophies on how to solve it were polar opposites.
So what did they do?
Well, Tony Stark, ever the pragmatist, was focused on saving their reality. Earth 616, he was willing to compromise, to sacrifice other worlds to save their own.
A cold, hard calculation.
It was a utilitarian choice. And of course, Captain America would never accept that.
No, not a chance.
He had this absolute moral stance. All or nothing. He argued they had to save everyone or die trying. He believed trading lives, even alternate lives, to save their own was a betrayal of everything they were.
An impossible standard to uphold, but that is 100% Steve Rogers. How did that escalate in the comics?
It got to a point of total moral breakdown. The Illuminati, the group led by Tony, they got so desperate that they had Dr. Strange literally wipe Captain America's memories.
They fucked his mind. Just to get him out of the way. That's an incredible betrayal. Even worse than the first Civil War.
It was an act of desperation. They felt his morality was preventing them from making the tough choices needed to survive. But, memories have a way of coming back.
And I imagine he was furious.
A righteous rage we almost never see from him. And it all came to a head during the final incursion.
What happened?
A tragic, literal fistfight at the end of the world. As their Earth was about to collide with the ultimate universe, Steve hunted Tony down. He put on an armor and they just went at it.
So they were trying to kill each other while their reality was ending around them.
It's the core of their relationship. They are fundamentally antagonists, not because one is good and one is evil, but because their moral codes are just incompatible. Tony is pragmatism, Steve is principle.
And that pattern ensures that any big story with Cap and a Tony lookalike is going to be about that clash.
Always. Let's even look at the MCU itself. The Russo brothers built their entire corner of the universe on this.
It's true. It's kind of the hidden formula.
Go back to Avengers 1. Their first real conversation is an ideological fight. Cap tells Tony to put the suit on.
Age of Ultron, Cap is immediately skeptical of Tony's tech solution for peace. And then, of course, Civil War split the entire world.
The damage was so deep that in Infinity War, Tony couldn't even bring himself to call Steve. And Endgame starts with them having that raw, painful argument.
The rivalry is their default state. And with the Russos heavily rumored to be directing Doomsday, you have to look at their specific style.
This is so critical. The Russos are the ones who polished Cap's story into what most people think is the MCU's best trilogy.
Winter Soldier, Civil War.
Yeah. They gave him all those huge emotional beats in Endgame. And what they do best is psychological storytelling, moral ambiguity.
They make you feel for both sides.
Exactly. They thrive on giving that Cap-Tony conflict this deep psychological edge that divides the audience. So now apply that to Dr. Doom looking like Tony Stark. It's psychological torture for Steve.
So Steve Rogers, who just finished grieving his friend, now faces the ultimate threat. A cold, pragmatic villain wearing the face of his greatest rival.
It guarantees the maximum emotional warfare possible. If Doomsday really is Cap's legacy movie, the Russos will center the whole thing around him. He won his personal peace, but now that peace may have cost reality itself.
And he's forced to confront the ultimate version of Tony's philosophy in Dr. Doom.
Which brings us right back to that baby in the teaser. The theory is Doom will try to destroy Cap's legacy, maybe even the universe he built. But that baby is the physical proof of that legacy.
Something he has to fight for, but maybe also the ultimate symbol of the destruction his choice caused.
The stakes are personal, moral, and multiversal all at once. It's a fight for the soul of the universe, and it's all rooted in Captain America's choices.
So to pull this all together, the running theory is that Avengers, Doomsday will be an ideological battle first, a Captain versus Doom showdown that mirrors the unresolved moral war between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark.
Exactly. The stakes aren't just about saving every universe, it's about the definitive end or continuation of Steve Rogers' entire moral influence. It's the same struggle, just with a different mask.
And here's the final thought for you to take away from this deep dive. Given how defining that Cap versus Tony rivalry was, does bringing Cap back to fight a Tony lookalike show a lack of new ideas? Or is leaning on that deep, painful history a strategic move to make sure the multiverse saga ends with the most intense, emotionally complex, and maybe satisfying final fight possible? That's something to think about.